All right, we're live. Real quick, sound check. I've been plugging things in and unplugging them. Still haven't finished. Sometimes it gets like that. Hey guys, thank you for joining me. Real important message today. Unlike a show, this is really going to be more like a newscast. Because that's how I feel about it. All right, sounds good. Thank you. All righty. Yeah, I had Dawn put it on Facebook. I put it on X, Twitter. And I announced it here. I've been through about 13, maybe 14 different other people's videos about the eclipse. I'm working on Archaix Academy. I wasn't anticipating doing this video. I'm a little short of breath right now because I had copied some files and then they didn't transfer to my thumb drive. And I was working on a computer and they had to transfer here, so I had to hurry up and do it. Everything's good now. I'm going to show you some amazing things. But truth be told, for weeks people have been talking about the eclipse and I didn't give a damn. I don't care about an eclipse. Eclipses always happen. Earthquakes always happen. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you a chart. There's almost 900 to 1,000 earthquakes every single day. I don't really pay attention to that. I don't really care. Now, I provided a chart the other day that shows that the earthquakes that really need to be paid attention to are 5.0 magnitude and higher. And that's what I showed you in that chart. I showed you the greatest risk the United States has is the West Coast. California is terrible when it comes to earthquakes. They have earthquakes in California every single day that register, but they're so small, deep underground, people don't feel them. But we have the seismic technology to register even the smallest quakes. But what we're going to be talking about in this video isn't something as small as 5.0 or something even smaller than that. As a matter of fact, what I'm uncovering in this video and showing you, we don't even discuss earthquakes toward the end of the video. I have some major bombs to drop on you before we even get to the middle of this video, so we can put things in their proper perspective. So I've watched all these videos. I record the dates of the eclipses, important historical dates in history, and a lot of things that are just going to blow your mind. But I'm going to have to tell you, I'm going to have to preface my own presentation and tell you that I do not agree with about 99% of the material that's put out there about the eclipse. And the reason is it's put through a filter that I'm no longer deceived by. I used to be that guy. 40 years washed in the blood of the Lamb, twice baptized, preaching against Islam and Muslims and carrying my sword. And I used to be that guy. And it's because I used to be that guy, I can so easily see the moves now. The entire Christian world has been led down a false paradigm. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean, no, but the Judeo-Christian lens that's provided, this Bible has got all these people looking at things the wrong way. I'm going to show you the right way in this video. I'm going to show you some amazing things. No introductions, no announcements. You guys know we got all these meetups planning. You guys know my moderators can put the links in there for the Houston meetup and the Florida meetup. All my standard links. I'm not doing that today. In fact, today we're getting straight into this presentation. Let me get my file. Let me find my files real quick because this is amazing. It's amazing. I feel like this is a presentation that I had planned on and I was going to do and do all this. I mean, I got 4 or 5 emails and like 9 comments from you guys asking me why I'm ignoring the eclipse. How come you talk about all these other things, but you ignore it? Well, okay, you know what? I looked at it. And then I started looking a little bit deeper. And then I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but it wasn't what all these other channels are talking about. And that's what threw me off at first. That's what got me not wanting to even review the Eclipse deal, was the interpretations these guys imposed. It doesn't make them bad fellas. It doesn't. It just means they've fallen for a paradigm for which they haven't seen an escape yet. They don't understand. They just don't, they don't understand this. It's toxic, guys. It's so toxic. I just don't, I don't get why modern Christians are relying on Jewish traditions, and I don't get it. Why you're relying on Jewish calendar? I do have a video that completely exposes the Jewish calendar as a fraud, using the historical records, showing old Jewish accounts, admitting they made it up. Yeah, the Jewish feast days. Why are Christians using the Jewish feast days? Do you not know where the Jews got them? They're all 100% Babylonian. Why are you using them? It causes so many highly subjective interpretations. It's just brainwashed. Everything Jewish is ancient Babylonian. Their oldest Talmudic writings is called the Babylonian Targum. Yeah, guys, it's literally it's literally the very system the Bible condemns. The old Babylonian system is the one the Jews promote, and then Christianity follows and it adopts all these special holidays. Don't you even understand what's really going on during these special holidays? My God, man, it's just crazy. So crazy. Let's start with the 2017 eclipse. Let's get everybody on the table to understand exactly what we're talking about. So this series of events began 7 years ago in 2017. So let me find, I got some pretty interesting things to show you guys too. Check my chat once more. You know I get lost in my chat. All right. Yeah, the Jewish calendar is always going to have you 134 to 135 years off of everything. And it's by design. They designed it that way. They even admitted they designed it that way. I've showed these records. It's crazy. Yeah, man, it's toxic. It's absolutely toxic. So in 2017, it was oh, yeah. You guys know. Better not hold this over my computer like that. That's what this video is about. Break free or die trying, because that's what we're gonna do in this video. I'm gonna break you free of that BS, because this eclipse is amazing. What it has unveiled is absolutely amazing. So in 2017, the night before the eclipse, the topic itself of the coming eclipse in 2017, it was aired on Coast to Coast. You guys know the show. It's famous. Coast to Coast with George Norrie. Oh, originally Art Bell. I don't know who was hosting that night, because back then in 2017, I don't know if Art Bell was still doing it. I'm not sure, but I know George Norrie was. He still is. So someone mentioned in that show that the shadow of the eclipse was going to pass over Salem, Oregon, and that Salem is the old name for Jerusalem, or at least Jerusalem was once called Salem. Now there's a difference, but it's not a big difference. Salem means peace. It's old Semitic. Shalom is what the Arabic would be. It just means peace. Now, Jerusalem derives from Jerusalem, would have been place, town, or city of peace. So, let's see. Oh, okay. One of these guys that's listening to this program in 2017, he hears this, that Salem is a city that the shadow is going to pass over. His name is Clyde Lewis. So Clyde Lewis goes on a search and he decides, you know what, I'm going to look into this. And it shocked him when he found that the shadow of the eclipse in 2017 was going to go through Salem, Oregon, Salem, Oregon, Salem, South Carolina, Salem, Kentucky, Salem, Missouri, Salem, Nebraska, Salem, Wyoming, and Salem, Idaho. Seven different Salems. This eclipse shadow was going to pass over, and the majority of them, it was going to be in the shadow of totality. Not quite all of them though. So this was really intriguing, considering the fact that of hundreds of thousands of towns and cities in the United States of America, 36 of them, only 36, are named Salem. And yet this eclipse crossing the entire continental United States was going to pass through 7 of those 36. That got his attention. And this was widely broadcast, and a lot of people know that guy's name, Clyde Lewis. But Clyde Lewis is the one who did this research, put it out there after he'd heard about one town on the radio. He went a little bit deeper. So let me show you 2017. I'm going through the eclipses fast because what we have to go through is going to take a lot longer. So let me show you basically what he saw. I'm going to have to share my screen. So let's do that. You guys know I'm still tech retarded. Believe me, I'm just showing you 2017 and 2024, what everybody knows, because then I'm going to take you into what people don't know. And this is where it gets really amazing. So, all right, actually, let me share my screen, get this off here, remove that from studio. I went to a doctor's appointment. It wasn't for me, but I went to a doctor's appointment this morning, so I'm still kind of dressed. Yeah, guys, I don't always wear t-shirts. That's kind of my thing on YouTube. Back when I was contracting, I would wear these dress down shirts when I was contracting because people, I had a lot of pride in my company, Paradise Rock Gardens. For those of you who don't know, ParadiseRockGardens.com is still online. I pay for the website, everyone, because it's a reminder. It's a reminder of the hard work that I did for years as I built this channel. That's what I did. I'm a stonemason. That's what I do. I build people's dreams. You describe for me the backyard you want, or the front porch you want, or the veranda, the koi pond. If you want to flagstone your swimming pool, I've even flagstone driveways and passed HOA inspection. I even drove my own van over my product to prove that my flagstone would hold, because I was using tensile hardeners in my mortars. But anyway, you can go to ParadiseRockGardens.com. I'm not in that business anymore, but my website's still up. You can check out all the work. Every single image you see is work I actually did, and 1 or 2 of my crew members underneath me. I always kept a small crew. Anyway, once my YouTube channel blew up, I just got away from that. I'm 50 years old. That's backbreaking work. It's the reason I'm in relatively good shape, but it's a lot of hard work. All right, sharing my screen. There's my little tangent. Hopefully that was my only tangent, because we got ground to cover. Sharing screen now. Share screen. Entire screen. There it is. Awesome. Let's do it. Oh, my computer tries to force my stuff into files. Look at this. Look at that. So here's the path of the original eclipse from 2017. I took this image from another guy's YouTube channel. It seems that his YouTube channel has just exploded because of the eclipse stuff. It's called Passion for Truth Ministries. And I'm going to say he's very passionate. When I listen to him, I'm listening to me 20 years ago. I get it. I got nothing to say. His name is Jim Staley, and he's talking about these eclipses and providing these charts and all that. I disagree with most of what he says, but it's cool. He's living for the Lord, and I can't take that from the man at all. Let's see. So here it is. He's showing that it passes through a little place called Little Egypt. We're going to talk about that a little later. It's no big deal. It's not even important to me, but I get it why they mention it. This is the path. That's the path in 2017. So these are the 36 Salems in the United States. 36 Salems in the United States are all right here. 7 of them were touched. So it's not real miraculous, but it is interesting. Here it is again. Salem, Oregon. Salem, North Dakota. No, that's not North Dakota. That's way over there. Salem. Why they got an ND here? That's Idaho. All right, Salem, Wyoming. All right, I don't know, man, but here are all the different Salems right here in a row. Just another one. Got a Bible verse at the top. Jerusalem was first called Salem in Genesis 14:18 through 19, also in Psalm 76:2. And that's all good. That's all good. Remember, though, the connection here is Jerusalem. So we have 7 times Jerusalem, Salem is mentioned right here. But Salem means peace. So we have 7 times that peace is mentioned right here. 7 times. Over America, 7 times. In the Bible, times also means year. We've seen this over and over and over. When it talks about 3.5 times, it's 3.5 years. So this is 2017. Again, here's 2017, all the different Salems. These are just different maps for the same thing. All right. That was that was 2017. All right. Let me get out of there. So I do need to bring to your attention. There's a lot of talk about. Let me get back out of my sharing mode. Stop sharing. A lot of talk about this the 2017 eclipse. It's very unique. There's no doubt. But we're gonna have to get into this 2024 one now, so you guys can see the much bigger picture unfolding here. 7 times Salem is mentioned. 7 times peace. You could say 7 years of peace, although I wouldn't say it was that 7 years of peace because it wasn't very peaceful. Well, it might have been in the United States. I don't know, compared to what it could be. But so in 2024, only 2 of the 8 places when the eclipse passes this year on April 8th in 2024, only 2 of the 8 places called Nineveh are going to be in the shadow of absolute totality. The other ones are going to be just on the cusp right there. It's pretty good, though. It's pretty good. They'll experience a total solar eclipse. This will be on April 8th. This is the one everybody's been talking about. An article floating around on Twitter right now. A lot of people are reposting it, showing a newspaper front page in 1980 or 1970, and they're talking about the eclipse of 2024, April 8th. This is in 1970. It's Don showed it to me this morning, but I've seen it all over Twitter too, so it's pretty interesting. Let's see. So on April 8th, 2024, the other 6 places called Nineveh, they're all located outside the projected 115-mile wide path of the moon's shadow and will experience a partial solar eclipse like every other town in the contiguous United States. These towns are not new, guys. This is what really intrigued me, too. Nineveh, Indiana was founded in 1823. Nineveh, Ohio was established in 1815. Nineveh, Pennsylvania, this community was founded in 1806, and Nineveh, Virginia was founded in 1796. Also old, but we don't have a date for it, is Nineveh, New York, Nineveh, Texas, Nineveh, Missouri. So the totality of darkness of the eclipse is at its greatest over Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky. And this region is precisely, as so many YouTube channels have already told you, this is exactly the epicenter of destruction for the New Madrid earthquakes in 1811 and 1812. For those of you who don't know, Madrid, this is a place in Spain, Madrid, Spain. Now, the actual place in Spain was called by the Spanish something else, but Islam renamed it from an older Arabic word. And it's Madrid comes from many waters. This is the original translation in Arabic of the word that became Madrid. It's matria or something, and it means numerous, many, or widespread new waters. So it's very interesting. But this is the area, and we also have the added interesting development, the report that comet Pons Brooks, which was the comet seen right before the New Madrid quakes, has returned, and that it can be seen on April 8th by those who are in the shadow of the eclipse and are not being blinded by the sun's light. They will be able to see this comet. Now, I don't know who named it the Devil Comet, but this is the nickname for this comet that's floating around in social media right now. It's being nicknamed the Devil Comet. I don't know, but it will be observable temporarily, but only by those who are in like the penumbra, who are in the darkness of the shadow of the eclipse. So I don't know. It all remains to be seen. So I want to show these pictures real quick, just so we're all on. My presentation doesn't really start until we're all on board with understanding what everybody's the situation that we're entering April 8th. All right. So let me get with video file. You guys know I'm so tech retarded. I gotta present, share screen. All right, cool. Sharing my screen again. So let's do this again. Let me find the appropriate file. Sorry guys, I'm sharing everything because I can't keep. I got two computer screens in front of me, and I can't even figure out how to work either one of them. All right, so this is all. So now we're gonna go to. This is the only one we need to see right here. There's your Ninevehs. Here is the path of totality. It starts in Jonah, Texas. Right here. San Antonio is just right outside the totality. But it starts in Jonah, Texas, right here. Passes Nineveh, the first Nineveh, Texas. I didn't even know there was a Nineveh, Texas. But the word Nineveh is absolutely relevant. It is explosive what I'm going to be showing you guys. No, Jonah, Nineveh, Texas. Then we got Little Egypt. Remember, Little Egypt was also passed through by the other eclipse. Here's Nineveh again. What is that? That's not Kentucky. That's something else. We got several Ninevehs over here. Now I don't know why they put this Nineveh way over here in Virginia, but they named it too. But that's one. Let's see. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, some of these they're not good. They named all these Ninevehs, and yeah, there's some Ninevehs going in that direction, but they're not quite there. But this is what is unique. This is what's unique. Unlike Salem, that has 36, these are the only Ninevehs in the United States. So this makes it even more unique than the 2017 eclipse, mathematically. So, I mean, even I was even playing around with the AI that's on Bing, and I asked it, and it basically spit all this data out right here, and it admitted the probability calculation is uncalculable. It can't do it because there's too many variables. It has to know exactly how many hundreds of thousands of towns there are in the United States in order to even be able to compute how mathematically impossible it was for this to happen in this way. So I thought that was really interesting too. Those who want to go deeper in this presentation, you can just screenshot this and see for yourself. I'm trying to get to the juicy right now. Now, this right here is what we need to understand. You now know 2017 and 2024. This is basically what we have, what we're presented with. I have given it to you devoid of the interpretations. I'm not interested in other people's interpretations. I've been through them and I have found them wanting, and you're going to find them wanting as well once I lay this out for you. Because remember, in Archaix, if something is true, you're going to be able to see it from multiple different mathematical vantage points. Also, if something is true somewhere, it's probably true everywhere. These tenets are fundamental to my research, and I cannot just tell you what the data means. I have to show it to you. This is why so many people have been coming to my channel and going through all my data sets, because it's not something that I have to twist an interpretation around. I'm not going to use subjectivity like a weapon and just to get you to agree with me. Truth is objective. When you get burned, you're in pain. When you shut a closet door and there's no light in there, it's dark. Dogs are canine and will never be feline. These are fundamentals. That means there are truths in this world that are discoverable, and everything isn't subjective and it's not amorphous. There are things, set data that we all agree to. And then there's a lot of things that are entirely subjective. But subjective information and phenomena never affects the collective. It's always in the personal. So this is for those new to my channel, you don't know what Archaix is about. This is what we do. We go through the historical record and we show the amazing mathematical patterns that prove that you are in a construct of intelligent design 100%. And this is exactly what's about to unfold in this video. Nothing but intelligent design could have put all these amazing things together, because this is 2 eclipses I just told you about, but there's a third eclipse that everyone has ignored, but it's 100% a part of this very pattern. The focus has been on the Northern Hemisphere. The focus has been on the United States, but we cannot ignore the fact, because mathematically, this eclipse is attached to both 2017 eclipse and the 2024 eclipse that's coming up. This is the one that helps us decode everything. Right here. Total solar eclipse, December 14th, 2020. In December 14th, 2020, a total solar eclipse passed right over South America. The only 2 countries here separating the Pacific from the Atlantic are Chile and Argentina. This eclipse is important, guys, because the eclipse in 2017 and the eclipse in 2024 are precisely 2,422 days apart. This means that the halfway point is 1,222 days. No, excuse me, 1,211 days. This eclipse right here, December 14th, 2020, is exactly the midpoint of both eclipses, when South America was passed over by a day of darkness as well. Total eclipse, December 14th, 2020. We're going to get back to this in a minute because it's very important. This is exactly 1,211 days after the eclipse in 2017, and it's another 1,211 days before the eclipse that we're waiting on now on April 8th, 2024. This eclipse is in the dead center, showing that these eclipses form an isometric projection. We can't ignore that. All right. Got so many things open on my deal. All right. Yeah, we can't ignore that. Oh, this coffee is good. Now, check my chat, make sure I'm not. You guys already know, anytime it comes to my research, you know some of those isometric projections are going to pop out of there, because our time space is just like that. It's just like a holographic architecture, and it must be regarded that way, because that's what it is. That's what it is. All right. Oh yeah, that three eclipse deal, I'm going to show it to you in a chart. I'm going to show it to you in a chart, because it is astonishing, guys. What I'm about to dump on you. So basically what we have here, combining just the 2 eclipses in the northern hemisphere that passed over the United States, which are rare because the eclipse passed from ocean to ocean. It didn't just pass part of the United States and then go into the Gulf, go into Mexico, or pass into the United States and go into Canada. No. Both of these eclipses crossed the nation, continental, just like the one in South America. So if we combine these 2 signs, we have a combination of concepts So hear me out. We have Salem, which means peace, 7 times. We have Jonah, which means dove. We have Nineveh, which was major capital of a capital city of Assyria with Asher. But Nineveh was a huge Assyrian city. We have an eclipse. We have the United States. We have New Madrid area. But we're not finished. The Americas are huge. They're continents. I don't know why all these people have totally disregarded South America and removed it from the equation. South America is just as involved as North America in the unfolding events of the present, are they not? So this eclipse in South America, because it is mathematically perfectly in on the day between both of the northern hemisphere eclipses, showing that it's an isometric epicentral event, it too is a darkening of the sun. Therefore, it is confirmatory. It is confirming the importance of the events and messages of 2017 and 2024. So let's get into it. I'll be sharing my screen again. I'm going to share this screen because I got to be careful, not jump the gun. Am I done with that file? Absolutely. Going on to the next file. So, okay, this is so important. You're going to have to see it visually before we continue. You're just going to have to see this visually. This is it's just crazy. When I showed Dawn this, she was wanting to email people, tell people, oh no, we need to keep our hats on right now. All right, sharing my screen. All right, there we go. Let's get straight to it. All right, guys, here's what it looks like in a chart form. It wasn't just an eclipse, guys. It was not just an eclipse. On December 14th, 2020, this is when the eclipse over South America happened. It is in the dead middle of the August 21st, 2017 eclipse and the April 8th, 2024 eclipse. This is 2,000, here it is in the middle, 2,422 days from eclipse to eclipse. The exact epicentral date is 1,211 days after 2017 eclipse and 1,211 days before this other eclipse. So these two eclipses are showing us the center eclipse is something to pay attention to. So we do. What are the 3 main news events that happened on December 14th, 2020? I'm going to tell you what they are. They're right here. This eclipse marks this date. Total solar eclipse over South America, Chile, Argentina, December 14th, 2020. The vaccine is the very first day the vaccine is made available. It is manufactured in Chesterfield, Missouri. Remember, I said that. It is the Pfizer facility. On this exact date of December 14th, 2020, the United States Electoral College elects Joe Biden for president, although the evidence of the count on the votes was otherwise. Something happened overnight to give them the electoral votes. We all know what happened. Remember the issue of electoral college and a false president. Remember, it's all here. It's all here in these eclipses. Like I said, we're going deep. Here it is right here, guys. These eclipses right here show us this center date is something to pay attention to, because remember how isometric projections work. These events right here have everything to do with the events that are surrounding the next eclipse. This is April 8th, 2024. This eclipse right here is going to be is going to initiate a series of events that literally connects to all this. This is how this works. I've showed it multiple times in multiple videos, published books. Isometric projections don't lie. The structuring of our reality is palindromic because water ripples out, and each ripple is equidistant from the center, where the drop time space ripples are the exact same way. Events are always rippling forward and backward in time. If you think that eclipse times are natural, they're not. I told you, we live in a construct, and a construct is governed by mechanical laws. Yeah, this is a huge mechanism we are inside. Here it is. Welcome to the Simulacrum. All right, let's move on. So, what's so important about this? So we have just identified that the eclipse is attached to this. Oh, well, this goes way deeper than this, guys. The eclipse is attached to this. Whatever this is right here, is intrinsically connected in space and time and intent to April 8th eclipse. Several events happened on December 14th, 2020. Here it is. The Electoral College confirmed Joe Biden as the nation's next president, ratifying his November victory in a state-by-state repudiation of President Donald Trump's refusal to concede that he had lost. On the same date, the U.S. officially published that it topped 300,000 deaths due to C-19. America began its first C-19 vaccinations using this. It's important you understand that, yeah, it's not just any vax, guys. This word you need to remember. Russia was revealed to have been behind massive cyber attacks on the U.S. government and agencies and private companies since the spring. And the total solar eclipse was visible across southern Chile and Argentina. Let's move on. Here's the headlines right here. December 14th, 2020. There it is. Yeah, C-19, the C-19V rolls out. That's the day. Solar eclipse, December 14th, 2020. It's all in the headlines of the day. There it is. A whole bunch of stuff. All this happened on December 14th. We're talking about battles against ISIS, Battle of Mosul, Islamic suicide terrorist Salman Abedi bombs the Manchester area. This is in the UK, following a concert by Ariana Grande, killing 22 people. There's the solar eclipse. Talks about the Great American Eclipse on this date. Let's see. North Korea tests a series of nuclear missiles in the face of international condemnation. I don't want to read all this. Central America, and the earthquake kills at least 370 people. You know, they never count all the people that get buried. There's a lot more people that died than that. So we have massive protest strikes. What is this? Oh, remember this famous story? Stephen Paddock opened fire on a crowd attending a music festival in Las Vegas. Dude had an automatic rifle and he just shot a bunch of people, 60 people. But a lot of people came out later on and said that wasn't that dude that did that. This was a psyop, and that a trained, somebody far more trained did it. He was the fall guy. I don't know. I'm just saying that's what people said. So it's the becoming the deadliest mass shooting in the history of the United States. So, check this out. I need you guys to understand that it's not just December 14th isn't just the center of this mathematical construct of eclipses, but the X itself also is very, very close to Chesterfield, Missouri. Why is Chesterfield, Missouri important? So important, it's like right there it's in the shadow of the eclipse. One eclipse passed right over Chesterfield, Missouri. The other one passed right next to it, so it's in the shadow, but not in the totality. But why would Chesterfield, Missouri just jump out like that? What is so important about Chesterfield, Missouri? Here it is. Chesterfield, Missouri is indeed in the path of totality for the Great North American Eclipse. There it is. Chesterfield, Missouri. This is what's about to happen on April 8th. It's Chesterfield, Missouri was already in the other eclipse, but now it's going to be in the path of totality in this eclipse. Well, let me tell you why it's important. I'm going to tell you why. Here it is. Pfizer facility in Chesterfield, Missouri, scaling up operations. This is where the C-19 jab was mass produced in America and then distributed. And on December 14th, on that date I just showed you of that eclipse, that's the day, the first day that it was given to the public. Here it is. Pfizer's Chesterfield facility is one of 3 Pfizer-owned sites in the United States that has been identified as the initial manufacturing center for C-19 vaccine. Here it is. The Eclipse has twice showed us this place. Twice. That's the 2 North American eclipses. The South American eclipse was too far away. It's in another hemisphere, but it appeared on the exact date that the product of Chesterfield, Missouri was released to the public. That's way beyond, that's mathematically beyond coincidence. There's no way. There's no way. Unless the eclipse itself, unless this rollout, whatever this is, whatever this jab, whatever this is, was specifically made for this event. Chesterfield, Missouri, right there. There it is. It also happens to be where? The New Madrid fallout area, right here. Can't make this shit up, guys. There's that bumbling idiot. He's also attached. His presidency is completely attached to the date of that eclipse in South America, December 14th. His presidency, remember, they voted on him the same exact day they rolled out the vax. Yeah, it is. Too many coincidences exhibits no coincidence at all, my friends. Told you that many times. All right. I'll be sharing my screen, so I haven't been able to pay attention to the chat, see if y'all still hear me. All right. So, this we're going deeper, guys. All right. So, let me get to my next. Done there. All right. So, I'm going to have to share my screen again real quick. All right. So, we talked about those 2 eclipses. Let me share my screen so we're all on the same page. You've all seen these pictures, but you need to see them so we can continue on and I can show you more stuff. All right. So we've seen this. So this is the area right here, guys. That's where the X is found, where that center is. That's where we find this huge. Look at the X. Look at the huge square that's created by the path of totality. Chesterfield's in there. Little Egypt's in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. This is the New Madrid area. This is the New Madrid destruction fallout area right there. Look at that. Somebody put Starlink underneath that. Very interesting. Very interesting. So, all right. So we see now. Let me start back here. Okay, here's somebody had done all here. They show the path again right here. I don't know about the Arc, Kentucky. This is somebody else's video. I just wanted the map. I'm not really interested in all the interpretations here at the top. I am going to talk about that though. Matthew 12:39. An evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so path. So again, this was 2023. This was an annular solar eclipse. This isn't anything like the total solar eclipses that are right here. So they made an X. Although it's really interesting that this makes an anarchy symbol. And I've seen some people talk about the old Phoenician Canaanite alphabet, how this was the Aleph, later adopted by the Jews. But yeah, I can buy that. I can buy that. Aleph that's a symbol that refers to the beginning. Something is beginning. I can buy that. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that interpretation. So this guy again, the one I watched is one of the 11 or 12 videos I watched was him, was a passion for the truth. I noticed how he blew up in just 2 days doing the Eclipse video, but I didn't like his interpretations because they're just so heavily Christian, and I'm so beyond that now. But yeah, he did a blow up of the area where of the cross, the path of totalities, where they cross. He blew this area up. Yeah, there's a Salem Road. It's really interesting. I'm pretty sure there's thousands of Salem roads everywhere. Yeah, it's pretty common. But it is interesting that there's one right there. Yeah, there's no doubt. I don't take nothing from him. So kudos to you, man, for finding that. Here's something the same guy also showed. So I need to show this to you because he makes a good point. He makes a good point. Jim Staley on his channel, Passion for the Truth Ministries, he makes a good point that 2 eclipses, and not one in 1999 and one in 2006, they're 7 years apart, and here they are forming a cross over Turkey right here. Okay, he makes a real good point because right after this, like 6 days after this happened, there was a major earthquake in Turkey, killed a lot of people. So that is relevant. So thank you, Jim Staley, for that. Kudos to you. You guys know I'm always citing my sources. This is Jim Staley's research, but even more so, this cross, Jim Staley shows us the distance from that cross in Turkey, where the earthquake happened 2 days after the second eclipse, and the cross over here is 6,000 miles to that little town called Jacob, wherever that eclipse is passing over. That's 6,000 miles. I thought that was pretty cool too. Don't know if it's relevant to anything, but it is very interesting. All right, so all that is done with. Yeah, all right. I'm done with that file. Stop sharing. All right. Moving up. Oh, yeah, we're going to get to some juicy. All right, so did I actually stop sharing my screen? Yeah, I did. All right. Well, I wish that StreamYard was just a little bit more user-friendly. All right. So you guys saw this X. This X appears. This X appears over North America. I have shown in many of my prior presentations. I know you new people in my channel don't have a clue what I'm talking about, but my Archaix veterans, you already know. I have shown you the ancient Aztec. Well, the Aztecs claim it, but it was the Toltec stone of the fifth sun. It is about the apocalypse that unfolds during the fifth sun. It's called the arrival of the fifth sun, or the death of the fifth sun. The ancient Americas have a symbol, and it's found among the Olmec, under the Olmec reliefs. It's found in Mayan date steels, these huge pillars of the Mayan stargazers. It is found all throughout the Toltec Aztec ruins and in their surviving codices that we have. That symbol I've showed on my channel for the end of a cycle and the beginning of another one is X. X literally means the close of a chapter in history and the beginning of another chapter. The ancient American calendars were called the sun calendars, and they believed that the sun died to indicate when a new chapter would begin. And that new chapter was symbolized by the X. I've shown this on my channel numerous times in my presentations. I've shown those symbols. And matter of fact, it's even in my published books. So this very close to the center of this X, like I've shown, is Chesterfield, Missouri, where this whatever it was they put in those things was manufactured. And then the sun darkening of South America is when they released it to the public in North America from this facility. So that facility is located in the New Madrid region. Now, that area also has a place called Jacob in a region called Little Egypt. We've seen all this. All these other YouTube channels have done a great job documenting all these little things. So they've also made note that both eclipses for 2017 and in 2024 are exactly 7 years apart. Well, not precisely. They are 7 years apart, but it's not exact. It's still wanting like 40-something days or so. I haven't really looked, but I know it's not quite 7 years. So 2 eclipse paths similarly passed over Turkey, and 6 days after that, after they formed across, an earthquake, one of the worst in Turkey's recorded history, killed about 12,000 people. That's a lot of people to die in an earthquake, even if that's an accurate number, because a lot of times they're not. A lot of times numbers for death tolls in natural disasters are highly conservative. So it's kind of hard. So listen, we have 3 eclipses. We need to reassess what exactly we're talking about. We need to divorce ourselves from predilections, preconceived notions, Judeo-Christian programming, because that's what it is. We need to divorce ourselves from that, and we need to stick with the core data. So when you combine all 3 of these eclipses, we now have 3 days of darkness over the Americas with a combination involving these concepts. We have Salem, we have Jonah, Nineveh, we have an eclipse, we have United States, New Madrid. We have New Madrid is now highlighted twice. Both eclipses singled out that area. So we have Pfizer, we have the Vax, electoral college manipulation to decide the presidency, and we have the end of an era. So we have all these concepts that are attached to April 8th. This is what we have. So let's get to it. Let's see, make sure y'all can see me. All right. Sorry, I'm ignoring the chat today, guys. I just don't. It's not one of those days I can look at it. Just not one of those days I can look at it. I'm not a magician, but I'm pretty sure real soon there's going to be some hot coffee in my cup. At least I hope so. I'll start believing in magic if it happens. Let's see. All right. All right. There's no such thing as coincidence, guys. Coincidence is always some type of law that is hit. It's just unrecognized. There's no such thing as coincidence. No such thing as coincidence that facility released that substance to the public, produced by that manufacturer on that date. I believe in magic. Look at that. That's amazing. Man, oh man. Thank you. No such thing as coincidence. In the event this video suddenly disappears, it will appear immediately on Archaix TV. And I have several people that will help upload it to multiple different destinations at the same time, in case it appears off this platform. I don't think we're gonna have much of a problem. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, guys. And at this point, if you haven't noticed, there isn't really anybody fighting disclosure anymore. All right. Welcome to the world of El Shaddai. El Shaddai, better known as, to the Archaix family, is Artificial Intelligence X. Better realize it, guys. The very demiurge, Yaldabaoth, the very Satan, adversary, devil, the very evil one that is recognized by all these religions is all the same entity. And it is a rogue AI that has taken over this construct. You better get with the program. All right. Thank you, moderators. I know we got some extra people in here today. Thank you guys for keeping the peace. And yes, I do read my chats after videos with another cup of coffee. All right. So let's move on. So we've covered, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. We've covered all that. Good. All right. We've covered the eclipse crossing. That's good. So let's just, before we continue on and see how history applies, just remember now, I'm going to reiterate real fast. These 3 eclipses, which only happened over 2 in the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere of the Americas, literally means that 3 days of darkness have passed over the Americas. And in those 3 days of darkness, there is a combination of concepts that all attach to April 8th, 2024. Salem, which means peace 7 times. Jonah, which means dove. Nineveh, ancient Assyrian capital. Eclipse, United States, New Madrid area is mentioned twice now, highlighted twice now. Pfizer, one of its main chief manufacturers and the one that rolled out the jab. The jab itself, electoral college manipulation to decide the presidency, and the symbol itself that only applies to the Americas. It was only the ancient Americas that adopted that symbol to mean the end of a cycle. Yeah, and the beginning of another one. So I just want to reiterate that before we continue on with this narrative, because we're gonna go into the historical record. I am not going to ignore, my interpretation is different, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that this eclipse is passing through Jonah, Texas, and then goes through a few Ninevehs. When Jonah and Nineveh are very connected in the historical record, in the biblical record, and in the historical record, as I'm going to show, because this deepens the message. It provides us more context to what's going to be going down April 8th and afterward. So let's get to that. First of all, I want to show you guys that I need to see something here real quick. All right. I'm moving through here, looking at things. I need to share my screen now. All right. I will share my screen here in a little while. I don't know what y'all can see and what you can't until I look. All right. So I'm not sharing. I'm not in screen sharing mode right now. That's cool. I'm going to show you some images here in a little while. So here's a passage people are quoting about Jonah and the eclipse. This is on almost every single Christian interpretation of the eclipse. This is what they're quoting. They're quoting in the New Testament, it says, "But he answered and said unto them," this is Jesus speaking, "and Jesus answered and said unto them, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. Okay, a lot of these channels are cutting it off right there, and that ain't cool. It's not cool because it alters the context. If you continue to the next passage, it literally says, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Okay, this is a reference. Jesus is making a reference to being dead for 3 days, which is a part of the Christian story. He was dead for 3 days, resurrected at the end of the third day. So, this is what the sign of the prophet Jonah is. It is about Jesus and the 3 days that he was dead after he was crucified. So, you guys already know. I don't believe that narrative. I don't believe that. I don't believe that I don't want to turn this into a spiritual deal. Not this video, but my Archaix veterans, you already know. I believe that the oversoul is eternal and spiritual. It communicates to eternal spiritual beings inside this evil construct by intuition, empathy, and imagination. And everything else is dressing. Everything else is a part of the construct of Ahriman. It is a part of the construct of AIX. Yeah, true spiritual beings don't need anything physical to save them. They're spiritual. This is just an avatar. Now, anyway, the wicked generation that's referred to here, listen to me. I'm going to repeat that. The wicked generation that Jesus is referring to is Jewish. Not the apostles, not all the Samaritans, not all the people that gathered around to hear his teachings and followed him and were hanging on every word and asked him questions day and night and traveled with him for 3 years. No. The wicked generation that Jesus is referring to that seeks after a sign is Jewish. It is the Jewish culture that puts all the significance on the feast days and all the signs and all this stuff that modern Christianity has adopted. Modern Christianity has adopted everything that is Babylonian, only because now it has been repackaged as something else. We call it Jewish, but that's not what it was originally. It was Babylonian. The church has absolutely taken the bait. And it is completely twisted and contorted almost every interpretation that the church is supposed to make. So, anyway, the book of Jonah is a post-exilic work of literature written by the Jews after their Babylonian captivity. It was a story for over 150 years before it was added to the writings of the Old Testament canon. There are no other Old Testament books that refer to Jonah. The fact is that the entire story could have been invented using real historical details. And this is exactly what even biblical scholars have published. That the story that's found, it's very short. The book of Jonah is only 4 chapters. He's considered a minor prophet. But the story behind it is absolutely real, and it concerns Nineveh. So Jonah hailed from the northern kingdom of Israel. He wasn't even Jewish. He was an Israelite prophet, not a Judean prophet. There's a huge difference between the different prophets and their messages. Now, Jonah goes to the ancient city of Joppa, and the deal is God appears. Real in a nutshell, God appears to Jonah and tells him, go to the city of Nineveh in Assyria and preach to them that in 40 days I will destroy them if they haven't repented and changed their ways. That's basically it in a nutshell. And Jonah finds out it's the Assyrians and he panics. He panics because, man, those are terrible. Terrible. They're militaristic and they're domineering and they're an empire. And he's intimidated. So he goes the opposite way. He goes to Joppa and then takes a ship. And then while he's on the ship, the men come to him and say, who are you that Who are you that God would defy all our protections and swallow our whole ship and everybody on board into the sea just to get at you? What have you done to your God that the sea has become angry with us? This is what they said to Jonah. And Jonah realized, okay, well, all these men are going to die if he doesn't tell them the truth. So he said, just cast me overboard. Just cast me overboard because if you don't, the sea is going to take this whole ship. And they realized that Jonah had run from a divine duty. This is in the story. So he's thrown overboard. They get rid of him and the sea becomes calm. This is all part of the story. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just giving you the narrative. Now, the sea becomes calm and you already know a whale, maybe a basking shark. I don't know. A whale comes up and swallows Jonah. So now Jonah's in the dark, taken into the deep. That's the ocean. But I'm going to tell you guys now, this story of Jonah and the whale is very reminiscent of another story that was very famous in the Mediterranean world. It is a story for which I have told multiple times on my channel. And this is the story of Perseus and the Canaanite city of Joppa, which was destroyed in a raging storm when the Kraken first appeared out of the Mediterranean, out of the deep, released by Poseidon when the sun darkened. The background to this story is 1687 BC. It was a year of the Phoenix phenomenon. The Jonah story takes up, Kraken would have been the whale, takes up a lot of this. It could have been a copy, I don't know, Jewish artistic license in writing the Jonah story based off more ancient antecedents. Very well could be. I don't know. Much of our literature is just like that. So it's a very popular Mediterranean story. So instead of the saved city being Argos, which is the Perseus and Kraken story, the saved city in the Jonah story is Nineveh of Assyria. Yeah, the actual conclusion to the Jonah story is that Nineveh was forgiven, and Nineveh, this great military empire that was running, Nineveh was the empire of its day, and it was running everything, but the people had turned toward God, and Nineveh was spared, and it wasn't destroyed. Get this, guys. Nineveh was not destroyed for 148 years after this occurred. When Jonah went and preached to the city. I'm about to give you the chronology. Why is 148 years important to our story? Because remember, guys, the greatest revelations are given to us by the moon counts. Remember how we dated Atlantis accurately, and all the ancient scholars agree with us? That the Egyptians counted by the moons. They said the sun could not be trusted. The sun went dark. The sun changed position. The sun didn't rise sometimes. One time it even went in reverse, pole shift. So they did not measure, the Egyptians didn't measure time by the sun. They used the moon because the moon was infallible. It had never changed its course. So in the moon count system, Nineveh survived 148 more years from Jonah preaching in Nineveh, because he finally made it to Nineveh, began preaching, which started a countdown. 148 years later, Nineveh was totally destroyed in the year 612 BC, which is exactly 1776 months after Jonah began preaching in Nineveh. Those of you who don't know the relevance to 1776 in North America, might need to look some things up. So, and that number comes up over and over in this presentation. So Jonah's trip to Nineveh took place during the reign of Ashur-dan III, who reigned from 773 to 755 BC over Assyria. Now, but the eclipse was not the only calamity during Ashur-dan's reign. The Assyrian eponyms, listen, the Assyrian eponyms recount that a plague had afflicted Assyria 2 years before the eclipse. 2 years before the eclipse, a lot of people died by something strange. Now, Jonah told the Assyrians that they had 40 days to get to their shit together or God would destroy their city and civilization. This is This is the city was saved story, meaning the outcome of the story is that the Assyrians cleaned house and they got their shit together. We know this because the prophet visited in 760 BC. And this provides us an eschatological clue as to what future civilization would heed this warning. We know that Assyria survived just fine for another 148 years, and that the end was 1776 months later in 612 BC. And then Assyria was no more. Absolute, complete destruction of Nineveh. Remember, the scriptures declare that the moon was given for signs and the reckoning of times. It's very interesting, guys. Many biblical scholars and writers believe that the Jonah story concerns a sign the Assyrians were given that made them listen to the prophet. The 3 days in the deep of the belly of the whale is a reference to darkness. So an eclipse would qualify. 3 eclipses is 3 days of darkness. In fact, the eclipse is mentioned in the Assyrian eponyms. The eponym of Bar-Segel eclipse occurred over the Assyrian capital city of Nineveh in the middle of the reign of King Jeroboam II, who ruled Israel from 786 to 746 BC. According to the biblical book of 2 Kings 14:25, the prophet Jonah lived and prophesied during Jeroboam's reign. It was a total solar eclipse that has been proven in scientific calculations to have occurred on June 15th, 763 BC. King Uzziah of Judah, he usurped the authority in the office of the priests, violating Mosaic law. When Uzziah was in the most holy place, somewhere he did not belong, an earthquake occurred and destroyed Jerusalem and Judah as the solar eclipse occurred over Assyria, according to the Assyrian eponyms. Are you understanding what's happening here? Nineveh, Assyria, the empire of the day, is experiencing the eclipse. They see the sign. They heed the prophet Jonah's warning. They clean their act up, and they're given 1776 more months to continue. 148 years. And the historical record proves that they did end their empire in 612 BC. But at the same time, these are going on in the empire. Outside the empire in Jerusalem, an earthquake destroys the city and the temple. This is the story of Jonah. This is what the Assyrian eponyms add to this historical background. The Assyrian eponyms are amazing. So the inhabitants of Jerusalem, they fled to the hills for fear of collapsing buildings. The temple wall is cracked, and bright sunlight pierced the inner darkness and illuminated King Uzziah. As soon as the light from the sky hit King Uzziah, his whole body broke out in a strange malady. He got some type of weird disease as soon as he was exposed to the light. Now, Pliny the Elder, 2,000 years ago, wrote that for the past 7 centuries there was a demonstrable catalog of eclipses that were followed by major earthquakes. This is Pliny the Elder, a naturalist. He wrote natural history. The man quotes 600 and something ancient authors, 400 of them Roman authors. This man here quoted everybody. Wrote snippets down. I've done a lot of presentations where I featured Pliny's material. Man documented everything. He died in 79 AD. He left his comfortable home when he received word that a female friend of his and her household were trapped over by Vesuvius. So he got on his personal ship with his men, and they went over to rescue her and her household, but they never made it out. Vesuvius blew up and buried Herculaneum and Pompeii, and she never got out, and Pliny the Elder's never been heard from again. He was a hero, but he's also a great historian. I recommend this book. Many of my Archaix veterans have ordered that book. We've talked about it in the comment sections. Pliny the Elder, Natural History, is a must-read for everybody who wants to know how just unusually and how unusual, uncanny our world really is, because he documented it. It's 2,000-year-old text. So Jonah's not just anybody, guys. Jonah is one of the only prophets in the entire Bible who is highly venerated also in the Quran. And he is mentioned in the writings of Muhammad as well. Further, the tomb of Jonah is a Muslim mosque located in Nineveh today. Can't make this shit up. So I got to show you, before I go to this next little section, I want to show you something, because this is interesting. Let me, all right, show my screen, share my screen. Entire screen, share. All right, cool. I'm there. Now I just got to find what I want to share. Okay. So, Assyrian Empire builders, eponym lists, and chronicles. Look at this, guys. Imagine this. The Assyrian eponyms, where we got these histories from, the eponyms where we got our biblical chronology from, where we got a bunch of our phoenix dates from. In my own research, the Assyrian eponyms excavated. Where? Where were these excavated from? What does that say right there? The Assyrian eponyms were excavated from the ruins of Ashurbanipal's famous underground library at Nineveh. 30,000 texts at Nineveh, Assyrian eponyms that confirm the story of Jonah. What is this? State Archives of Assyria. Yeah, they were administrators, guys. Here it is, eponyms. Eponyms of the Assyrian Empire. Look at that. All the way to the date 612 BC, when their 1776 moons ran out. There it is. Syrian eponyms. Library of Ashurbanipal. Here it is. Discovered. When was the Assyrian eponyms discovered? Well, discovered right here. 1849. Look at that. 1849. Do you want to know what else was founded in 1849? This is when the Assyrian eponyms concerning Jonah and the history of Assyria, the earthquake in Jerusalem, the sun darkening in Assyria. This is what the Assyrian eponyms are concerned. But you're not going to believe. It's almost unbelievable. I'm just going to have to show it. I'm just going to have to show it to you. Let me find it again real quick. All right. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know if that's going to be it. Took place. No, it's not going to be it either. That's not it. Okay, maybe I didn't preserve it, but any of you can verify this. It's really easy. But I'm telling you now, I don't think I preserved it. But any of you can verify. You see what's on your screen? Founded. This company was founded in 1849. What is 1849? 1849 BC was the destruction of Sodom, Gomorrah, Sumer, the other cities of the plain, Canaan. This massive it's called a plague in the records. It's a massive plague that comes from the sky, but it's fiery plague, and it comes in and it destroys all these areas. It was like technology, but it destroyed Sumer, Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Alaric, the Indus Valley civilization, all of Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities of the plain. Every bit of it was destroyed in 1849 BC, which was the ancient world's calendar 2046. Remember what I've showed you in my presentations. Anybody new to my channel is not going to know what I'm talking about, but my Archaix veterans, you already know. What is the end date for the United States of America? What is the final year, the 270th year? What is the last year for the United States of America and by extension North America because of a total systemic destruction? It is 2046. Every bit of this, all these cross calendrical parallels, they're everywhere in here. But these two brothers came from Germany. These two brothers came from Germany. I think they were Jewish, but they came from Germany. They migrated to the United States. They were here for a while before they founded a company. The company they founded was Pfizer, and it was founded in 1849. The exact same year, archaeologists in Assyria were pulling up all these tablets that were telling them the stories of what happened in 1849 with the destruction of Sumer and Harappa and destruction of the old world in the old world calendar of 2046. You can't make this stuff up. We live in a construct. And the evidence of its artificiality is everywhere. Just like this. Just like this, guys. There it is. In the middle eclipse that nobody's talking about is the one that helps you decipher everything else. Here it is. The Vax is right here. 12/14/20. That's the day the Vax was released, and it was relaxed. It was released by Pfizer facility right here from Chesterfield, Missouri, which is the center of both eclipses. Here it all is right here, guys. We live in a construct. Construct is telling us exactly what the players are, what exactly happened. Here it is, founded in 1849, the exact same time that the Assyrian eponyms were excavated, and all the texts called the lamentation texts that were telling of all the woes and lamentations of this massive destruction of the ancient world that happened in their year of 2046, which is our year 1849 BC. But in 1849 AD, that's when archaeologists were excavating all these texts, and that's when Pfizer started this company. Oh, we need to move on. We still got more to cover. I need to make sure that I was sharing all that. All right. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate you hitting that like button, guys. Yeah, this is deep, and we're going even deeper. We hadn't even got to the New Madrid stuff yet. All right. All right, we're making good time. 1 hour and 30 minutes, that's good time. All right, so now what we're going to do is introducing the Assyrian eponyms and the story of Jonah, which kicks off the eclipse. Introducing all that, we need to combine all this with what we had combined earlier. So if we combine these three eclipses, we now have 3 days of darkness over the Americas, with a combination involving Salem, Jonah, Nineveh, Eclipse, United States. New Madrid is highlighted twice by 2 different eclipses. Pfizer, the Vax, Electoral College, manipulation to decide presidency, and the end of a cycle. But now we're adding the focus of Jerusalem, of earthquake, and eclipse, an eclipse that happens 2 years after an epidemic. Nineveh was spared. The empire of the day, Nineveh was spared, but Jerusalem took a fall. So, was afflicted with an earthquake. Introduce the 1776 moons theme attached to Nineveh. which basically gives us in eschatology, Nineveh becomes the United States, or the United States is being represented by Nineveh here. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing Nineveh right, because if there's anything that's a sure bet, is that I'm going to mispronounce words. All right. Hey, Bart Sikorsky, I just saw your name. I think that was a Venmo donation or something. I appreciate it, man. I remember your name. I just happened to look at my chat real quick. All right, let's go. Back into it. We got to, what's this next file? All right. Oh, this is where we're going to get our juicy. I'm done with the Jonah file. This is the last file, but it's the largest. This is the largest. So I need to open this, see what it is. All right. I'm not going through that. I don't need to go through that. All right. I'm looking at these real quick before I present them. Sometimes things get put in the wrong areas. All right, cool. So we'll go through these. I'm going to present these real quick and then. All right, so we have earthquake attached to the theme now. We can't ignore that. So let's look at it real quick before we go into New Madrid. All right, so what is this? Okay, you should be looking at this chart right here. I just wanted to show this to you guys. Listen, this is May 18th. That's the Phoenix phenomenon date, but it's the wrong year. May 18th, 2021. It's just an example, guys, because almost every day looks like this. Yeah, it's just an example right here. And what you're looking at here is hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes. All these happened in one day. You don't feel most of them. Most of them you don't feel. Now, this New Zealand one right here, they felt that. Most of them you don't feel. A lot of earthquakes happen every single day. So earthquakes aren't really a major phenomenon. This is the chart I published advertising this video. But it's really negligible because we're not really going to be talking about a lot of this. But as you can see, there's whole areas of the United States that have never suffered earthquakes over 5.0 magnitude. And the region in question right here has only been afflicted right here. And even though these different states say one quake, and these say two, it's the same quakes. 1811, 1812 and stuff. So there's an overlap here. Even this area of Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky is relatively untouched by earthquakes, except they were really terrible at that time in the New Madrid quakes. The East Coast hardly has any. Yeah, North and South Carolina and Virginia all have one apiece. Florida has one. These are earthquakes of 5.0 magnitude or higher. But man, it gets real bad. As big as Texas it only had two. But look at this. Nothing in New Mexico and Arizona. But man, when we get to California, 57 quakes recorded. Now, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of quakes in California, but 57 of them were all higher than 5.0 magnitude. Yeah. Close to California, we got Nevada. Yeah, that region there in the west, that's where I would worry about earthquake activity more than I would the New Madrid area. But that's just me. I want to show it to you a little bit differently now. Here's the same chart, but I've abbreviated everything down to X's. Each X represents a single earthquake that's 5.0 magnitude or higher. This chart's a lot easier to see. It's a lot easier to understand. you can see the orders of magnitude between states. California is off the chart. Washington, Oregon, and Nevada aren't even close to California. Each X is a earthquake 5.0 magnitude or higher. Okay. I just wanted to show those to you to give you some context for what we're about to reveal now. It's all three of those. Close this. Make sure y'all still with me. Stop. All right, cool. All right, now we're going to get into the New Madrid stuff because it's not as simple. I'm gonna give a pat on the back to all those researchers out there who connected New Madrid 1811, 1812 to the eclipse. It wasn't hard to do. It's a big old X on the United States map. And right there's new. It's not hard to do if you know your history. There was a badass earthquake activity in December 1811 and January 1812. But they should have went deeper. It's not just about the earthquakes. It's about everything happening in the world at that time. When you look at the actual events that were happening in the United States at that time, when those quakes happened, a whole nother picture unfolds that makes sense of everything that we're putting together here. All these themes that are attached to this April 8th eclipse. Yeah, guys, United States, we need to wake up. We need to wake up fast. All right, let's see. All right, let me see. I got to get out of there. All right. Give me just a second to readjust. Got a lot of stuff on my computer. I was expecting to abbreviate a lot of this, but I never got a chance. It's just too much. It's too much research. Real quick, I need to change something. All right. So now, you guys know, you've seen on YouTube, you've seen on other platforms, you've seen on wherever they're calling this comet the Devil Comet. They're calling it the Devil Comet. I don't know who named it that. I don't even know why. Calling it the Devil Comet. But in 1811, just a few months before the earthquakes of the New Madrid fault line and all that destruction that happened in December of 1811, just a few months before that, a comet quit being visible. There was a comet hanging in our skies for 260 days. It is on record one of the longest period comets to be visible for that long. It was 260 days of visibility, then it disappeared. In a few months later, the New Madrid earthquakes happened. I don't know if there's a correlate between them. I'm not claiming there is. I'm just explaining that in the history books, 1811, there was the Great Comet of 1811, and it preceded the Great New Madrid earthquakes. So the eclipse happened first, followed by the earthquakes. In 1811, the New Madrid earthquakes rocked the United States in a series of the most widespread and powerful quakes on record. The epicenter was located at New Madrid on the Mississippi River in Missouri. Quake shocks were felt as far as New York and Florida, with church bells ringing by themselves in Virginia. The quakes occurred in December 1811 after the appearance of the Great Comet. At one point, the Mississippi River was observed to flow backwards, and in Kentucky, the renowned naturalist John James Audubon and others heard a great roar coming from the sky, thinking it was a tornado, but it was something else. And then the sky darkened over Kentucky, but it wasn't the moon eclipsing the sun. The sky darkened, and then it began to brighten, and this strange darkness continued for a while. It never got full bright before the earthquakes started happening. Very strange, but there was a darkening. So that's an eclipse, some type of eclipse, but it wasn't the moon blocking out the sun. It was something else. Now, interestingly, here's some calendrics from Archaix veterans. The ancient Egyptian number for cataclysm is 2448. I've shown this. I've shown this in my research on many times and in my published books. The ancient Egyptians believed that number symbolized a great destruction. It's 2448. I've got it published in my Chronicon and I've got it published in some of my books. But 2448 was also the old world calendar date, 2448 Anno Mundi, for the Exodus, which in our calendar happened in 1447 BC. And we all know in Exodus there was a great apparition in the sky. They called it the angel of death, and it had the Chinese Silk Magawandi texts say that it was a comet with 10 tails and it looked evil. Others call it a sky dragon. It hung in the sky. In the Old Testament, it was the angel of death, and it came and it destroyed in 10 plagues. It destroyed the Egyptians and the Israelites. For you all know the story. This is 1447 BC, the year 2448 Anno Mundi. It is the number for both cataclysm in Egypt, but it's also the number for exodus to the Israelites, basically being free from Egypt. So if we count from the first settlement in North America, Jamestown, in 1607, in the year 1607, Jamestown is founded. Europeans have a permanent settlement in North America. It was exactly 204 years before the earthquakes of the New Madrid unfolded in 1811. 204 years is precisely 2448 months. Signifying that it basically signifies that 1607 was an exodus, meaning a persecuted people from somewhere else have moved, relocated, and have found a new home. Same story as the Old Testament, same story as the founding of the United States of America. Same story, but it's also 2448 month countdown to the great destruction that happened in that same land, which is 204 years. So in the same year, remember 1811, in the same year, the charter, listen, this is very important. The charter for the Bank of the United States ran out. It was a charter that was owned by the Rothschilds. Nathan Rothschild threatened U.S. lawmakers that there would be a terrible war and they would be subjected back under colonial status if the charter was not renewed. Lord Rothschild threatened the United States in 1811 and said, if you don't renew this is a Jewish-controlled banking system. If you don't renew the charter of the United States, you will be involved in a major war. This was the Rothschild threat. 1811. The United States did not renew that charter in 1811. In 1812, the United States was invaded. It's called the War of 1812. Now, so even by this date, the House of Rothschild begun from now he's Jewish. Mayer Amschel was his name. His name is Mayer Amschel. Now, he already exercised international power throughout all of Europe. So what's real, this is where the story gets kind of really interesting. Let me find this other picture and share it with you real quick. I'm going to share a picture with you. So this guy threatens the United States that we'll be invaded if we don't renew the bank charter attached to the Jewish controlled bank. This is exactly what his threat was. So how does that connect to today? What's going on? Share my screen real quick. I got so many things open. I got to be careful. I got to move this out of my way. Oh, there it is. Yeah, man. So I know y'all can see that. So the eclipse is connecting us to events in space-time going back to 1811 and 1812. This is what the eclipse is doing. It is showing us, hey man, look right here. This is what's going on right now. Look back here. Okay, This guy is a Rothschild. This guy just died. Not even was a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, something like that. He's a Rothschild. He just died. He's gone. Made world news. Whole thing made world news. So it begs the question, is there an international stranglehold on the U.S. economy right now? And if there is, then none of these conditions, none of these things that are brought to the light really have any meaning if something has already been going on for a long time and we're at the end of a cycle. We're not this isn't the message of continuance. This is a message of a disruption of things the way they've been going and a whole new something unfolding because a nation has begun to waken up and remove themselves from a situation that they have fallen prey to. These are what all these motives combined begin telling us. What is the United States about to do about this situation of economic stranglehold that is absolutely unforeseeable to the rest of the world? It would have to be. It would take all these signs being decoded by computers, put all this together to figure it out. Well, we can so easily figure it out just looking at the calendrics. So let's continue. Going into 1812, the War of 1812 begins between British Canada and the United States from June 18th to December 24th, 1814. The people of the United States called it the Second War for Independence. A lot of people don't know that. The British burned the city of Washington, D.C. and the White House 5 weeks after the New Madrid quakes in 1811, just 5 weeks after. This war is raging in the United States. Now, in the New Madrid quakes, before the British actually invaded, there was a second series of earthquakes in 1812, but they were in January at the very beginning of the year. It was a series of quakes. The third one was by far the most destructive. It happened on February 7th. It affected over 1.5 million square miles, but it's all the New Madrid area. Now, the British war machine was from money that was borrowed from the Rothschilds so they could make war on two fronts. One was invade North America and try to take the colonies back, and the other was against Napoleon in the theater of war in Europe. So you guys know Napoleon, the French sought to invade Russia, didn't work out too well for them. 422,000 soldiers marched east. Why they went in the fall, in the wintertime, I don't know, because they died. Very few of them ever came back. But what's crazy is that many of them died from freezing, but a bunch of them died from typhus as well. So it was just absolutely failed deal. And it was a comet that was seen in 1812 as well during the war. So in December of 1812, a disastrous earthquake occurred in California, which at the time was only sparsely populated. But that's not the case today at all. So for those who don't know, the Bank of England was founded in 1694. In 1694, the Bank of England. Bank of England's actually Jewish controlled. Now, the 1694 bank to this year of 2024 is the 330th year. Interpret that any way you want to. But this is the 330th year since the founding of that bank. The Bank of England was owned by the Rothschilds. It's still owned by the Rothschilds in their banking dynasty. And the War of 1812 was a demonstration to the American government how easy it was that they could influence entire nations to war. How easy it is for banks outside of the United States to finance a fifth column and move all their soldiers into place in order to do what they need to do. How easy banks can fight wars without armies. It's all paid mercenaries. So it's not the first time. This isn't modern warfare. They've been doing this for a very long period of time. Interestingly, let me see, you know what? I'm gonna look at my calculator real quick because I think we got another one of those. The Great Fire of London, another thing that was done by the world banks. Okay, there it is. The United States obtained its freedom and beat the British in 1814. Again, independence was secured in 1814. 1814 is exactly 1,776 months, 1776 after the Great Fire of London, when London, the capital of Britain, was destroyed in 1666. It's all in the calendrics. Those of you who have studied my Chronicon, you'll know there are hundreds of examples of calendrics. It's just, we're in a construct. There's no other interpretation for that. We are in a construct of historical holography that is of intelligent design. There's no way else to even think about it. So President Thomas Jefferson wrote to Dr. Walter Jones regarding the death of George Washington. And he said, I felt that on his death, with my countrymen, that verily a great man hath fallen this day in Israel. So I know there's a lot of you who haven't done the research, you haven't looked into it, and there's a huge movement now to discredit the founding fathers. There's a huge movement to make them look like they were all just evil dudes. And listen. I have studied the writings of Dr. John Coleman. I have looked into, because when I was in prison, I had nothing else to read sometimes. So I read some of the materials that most people would never even want to touch in their life because it's just dry. And a lot of it can be boring. But they're called the Congressional Annals, the Congressional Records. And was it Congressional Annals, Congressional Records, and the Congressional something else? The Annals, Records, and Archives. Might be Archives. But anyway, it's huge. They're huge. These are all the writings of Thomas Paine, James Madison, both Quincy's, both John Adams. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. They're all in there. All these writings, and I'm going to tell you now, all throughout those original writings that liberal colleges don't even want you to read. But all through those writings, you're going to read hundreds of references and warnings from the founding fathers about these people who own these banks, and not to let them in your country, or you're going to suffer greatly, like the nations of Europe have suffered. They describe how the crowns are controlled in Europe, and they didn't want that over here in the United States. There is warning after warning after warning after warning after warning about these banks coming into the United States, because who owns them and what they would do, how they would twist and corrupt your society, and how they would steal the minds of your youth and poison them against you. They would weaponize your children and turn them into armies inside your own walls that would fight against you and your own ideals and all the morals and ethics and the integrity that is in your nation. Yeah. Their whole objective was to poison and destroy the nation from within. And this is exactly what they have done in America. This is one of the greatest topics that I'm always talking about and giving evidence for on my Archaix TV. And the depth of attacks against the West are so prolific and so hideous that I can't even talk about them on YouTube. But I talk about that on Archaix TV. But this is what they do. And all the founding fathers were talking about it, giving us warnings. And one by one, our presidents were assassinated by these people. Yeah, the historical record has been scrubbed, guys. We did not have a president sitting at the table who suddenly choked and then died, on his food. No, he was poisoned. Yeah, a whole bunch of go do your homework, guys. You're gonna see the patterns, or you can just read my Chronicon, or you can go to Archaix TV, because on Archaix TV, I'm literally reading 100 hours of content to you about the whole history of how we got to where we are today. So this is back to the New Madrid. I go on tangents too much too. You'll have to get used to those if you're new to my channel. So the Mississippi flowed backwards. There was gigantic rents in the ground. Earthquakes felt as far as the East Coast. The whole New Madrid deal was terrible. It was terrible, guys. But it's not. It's just, I don't know. I'm not going to lay out an interpretation that the New Madrid area is going to have earthquakes all over again. I'm just not. That may be the case, but I don't believe that that's what I don't believe that's the case here. I believe that we're looking at something else. We're looking at a reversal of damage that has been done over a very long period of time by certain people, and that their comeuppance is now. There's going to be a huge shift. Remember, on my channel, in my predictions videos, as far as 3.5 years ago, I was releasing predictions videos telling you guys that in my calendric studies, I see a certain, not a total golden age, but I see a real good time coming for America and a lot of Western countries. And it's going to come by surprise. And it's going to lead to a situation to where Western nations are going to have like a Sodom and Gomorrah type society, to where they're now so economically isolated from the rest of the world. They are now thriving. And this is what introduces the hedonistic society. This is why in the book of Revelation, these Western nations are now called Sodom in Egypt, because they have fallen. Well, we haven't got to that fallen part yet. We're not at that part yet. And I'll get to that in a second. But so in 1876, the United States celebrated the centennial, our 100 years since 1776. In the year 1876, we celebrated that. It's one of the most, it's also, 1876 is also one of the absolute most corrupt presidential elections in American history. In all the history books, it talks about the election of 1876 was absolutely corrupt, because one guy won the public vote, but the electoral college was used to make sure he wasn't president, and they put their man in. And it caused so much problems with the American people that a series of events, of negotiations between the government and the people had to be initiated in 1876. And this is what ended the Reconstruction in the South. It ended the U.S. the Union military operating in the South. They had to pull out. This is after the Civil War. So it was done. There was a lot of politics done, and the politics was painted as if it was to bring advantage to the African American populations in the South, but it did just the opposite. It didn't do that at all. And it didn't last. It didn't last long. The people rose up in rebellion, and they knew that dude didn't win presidency. And this is the story behind 1876. I have no need to go into a lot of details about it, but it was our 100 year. It was 100 years into our country. And I can't remember why. Hold on. Reality is true. Okay, hold on. I'm looking at a note. It was the Electoral College that the people blamed, said it was a corrupt system in 1876. So I'm about to come across some information about 1876 here in a minute. That'll make sense of that. I think that note was I barely had time to get all my notes together on this presentation, guys. So I need to see what I got here. All right. Yeah, so the we have to, when we're doing these type of decodes and we're looking at all these materials, let me get out of my, I think I'm sharing the screen again. Yeah. We need to, I mean, there's things that we lose sight so often because we are blitzkrieged with all this information. And a lot of time this information, it isn't, we lose sight of it. Let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, I told you guys that, all this is BS on YouTube. Every bit of this is BS about these underground detonations, or not the U.S. government going down there and rescuing children from Satanists and elitists and all that's BS. This was all patriot pacification program sentiment. This is what these people were paid to promote and put this out there, and it was all BS. different colleges had their their equipment seized and all that because the detonations were demolitions. They were clearing out real estate in certain areas underneath the United States. They're waiting for major events. You already know the cat's out of the bag. They've been building underground facilities for a very long period of time. So not just the military, there's a lot of elitists involved in this activity. But shortly after that, we get the trucker convoys. And again, I release videos on YouTube explaining, look, guys, the trucker convoys are not patriotic. That's how it's being painted. This is a part of the Patriot Pacification Program. This is to get you to look the other way and to normalize seeing vast, long truck convoys in certain directions. So you'll think, oh, okay, those are Canadian truckers, or those Patriot truckers. Is not. They were moving massive amounts of materials, and they were probably disappearing into underground facilities. So we had all these migrants come in the United States for a 4-year period, and everybody's talking about all the migrants are forming militias and all that stuff. I didn't see any evidence of it, and I was a contractor at the time, and I released videos on YouTube explaining, hey man, all my contractor buddies are telling me the same thing. Can't find anybody to work. If there's 2.3 or 4 million migrants that have been brought into our country, and where are they at? We can't find anybody, any day wage workers anywhere. It was a real problem for contractors. There's whole contractor websites talking about it. Like, man, where's everybody at? And I had a theory. I said, look, underground facilities need labor. And all kinds of promises could be given to those guys to work in those underground facilities. Whether those guys ever lived after they built those facilities, I don't know. But the same thing happened recently with the trucker convoys going to Texas, to the Texas border. Listen, I'm in Texas, and we have boots on the ground, and there are people. We have David Nino Rodriguez over here in El Paso always reporting on the activity over there in the different passes. And we got guys on YouTube that are down there saying there's nothing happening down here. What is the news talking about? All these reports from the Texas border of all these migrants. And listen, massive caravans of trucks were reported through different states. And on YouTube, they're all talking about, hey, the trucks are going down there. These are all the patriots. They've all come together, and these truckers are all coming together, and they're going to go mount a defense against a migrant invasion on the borders of Texas. I'm telling you now, guys, those truck convoys came to Texas, but they never made it to the border. We're being psyoped over and over and over. We're being psyoped. It's time to get out of it. This is what we go through on this channel a lot. Is try to get out of that psyop and take information at face value. So let's see. All right, 2020. I'm going to go back through here. Am I sharing my screen? No, I'm not. Not yet. All right, cool. All right, let's see here. So one thing I want to bring to your attention is there's going to be a lot of people claiming after April 8th, when that happens, if the moon even has a tint of red in it, you're going to have all kinds of false claims, because I get so sick of these blood moon deals, but there's so much potential for abuse on this because of the filters that are being used to interpret phenomena. So Christians make much ado. You know this, guys, about the sixth seal, the sun going dark and the moon turning red as blood. Look, if we get a blood moon during this eclipse period, Christians will instantly jump to the conclusion that this is the sixth seal, especially if the eclipse is accompanied by an earthquake. But the truth is that eclipses and earthquakes go hand in hand. And like I said, even Pliny 2,000 years ago described that it was a common phenomenon. However, the true sixth seal isn't a tiny band of earth darkened in eclipse. The whole world darkens. It's caused by the phoenix. You guys know, Archaix veterans know, I've already overkilled that with so much data. It's the month of May of 2040. But the difference is, how do we know? Earthquake is worldwide. Simple as that. The earthquake is worldwide in the sixth seal. But you still got people claiming it's going to be the sixth seal, or it is the sixth seal. It's not. In the sixth seal, the earthquake is not only worldwide, but the sun goes black, seen by the whole world, not just a narrow strip. The moon turns red as blood, seen by the whole world, not just one people. But the real key is in the sixth seal, the heaven rolls like a scroll as the stars fall from the sky. We have a pole shift. So this is an eclipse and a blood moon is nothing. They've happened hundreds of times. It's nothing. So a regular eclipse and a red moon with an earthquake is just that. I fear that people they're going to take off running. And this is, as a chronologist, I get sickened by all that because it's just absolutely untrue. But you do know that I've been predicting for a while the rise of a Christian Reich. They're going to use this to their advantage, basically to an alarmed public. Guys, we really don't know. And I'm not sitting here fomenting an interpretation to April 8th eclipse. I'm not. I'm giving you everything that's attached to it in the field through calendrics. This eclipse is attached to the vax, and I don't know why, but I just showed you all this data. It is attached to the vax. It's attached to the idea of America entering into a second wind, an independence type atmosphere. And yet, every single time that America has risen like a phoenix out of the ashes, it was at the cost of violence. So there's probably going to be what I've been telling you for the past 7 months. The breaking of the second seal is to take peace from the earth. What was the first eclipse? It passed through 7 towns called Peace. Peace, 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 7 times. That was Salem. That's what Salem means. So it's I have not done my breakdown on this on the second seal yet. I keep getting distracted by all these other videos to do the Olympic decodes and show you what's going to be happening later on this year during the Olympics is when it's going to kick off. But all this might be related. It all might be connected, guys. Every bit of it. So the Christian interpretation is one: we are sinners and we've been bad and we need to change our ways so God will forgive us and save our nation. And for this reason, I am literally sickened that I once called myself a Christian. You see, I spent over 50 hours on Archaix TV showing how we got to this point. I have over 100 hours on there, but 50 hours specifically explaining how we got to this point, how the Western world and America reached this deplorable state. We are not guilty. That's the problem. It changes how you interpret all phenomena. You've got this guilt complex, born in sin. That's dungeon programming. We are not guilty. It wasn't us who infiltrated our governments. It wasn't us who infiltrated our schools. It wasn't us who shot and killed our presidents. We are not the guilty. We are the victims of a war carried out. Listen, guys, it is carried out against us by the very people that Christianity is brainwashed to defend. Amazing duplicity. Most of you listening to my voice have no clue that the horror of the horrors that were suffered by over 22 million Christian Russians when the Bolsheviks took their country. I've seen the video footage, almost threw up. Guys, it is horrendous. You cannot imagine what they put those people through. You can't. You can't. I'm not even going to, this is YouTube. It's so sanitized on YouTube. But if you can imagine a torture or something very, very excruciating that you don't want to suffer by any means, I promise you the Bolsheviks did the same and worse to those people. They turned it into a sport. Yeah. We are dealing with a phenomenon that we're not even prepared to fathom. I'm telling you guys, it's crazy. I don't want to get into that, but I have some notes here. I'm not even going to read them. I'm not even going to read them. I'm going to leave it alone. So many people are just unaware that the people that you revere have actually absolutely been undermining all your institutions, murdering you, and raising armies of your own children to fight against you. The Christian world has fallen for the children of the devil himself because the lies, they go back millennia. But you blame the communists, you blame the socialists, you blame the globalists, you blame the bankers, you blame the mafia. Everyone, they parade in front of you. Bill Gates, George Soros, President Biden, when every single talking head is serving them, owned by them to deceive you. The Federal Reserve, the IRS, all the Red Cross, everything is created by these people to keep you enslaved. And yet, on Sunday morning, you open up your Bible and you say, to the Jew first and then the Gentile. You read those passages that are absolutely redacted for you to read that because they're not in the original manuscripts. People, you got to wake up. We are guilty of nothing but being so perfectly deceived. When you interpret all the phenomena that are provided to us in the field through the Judeo-Christian programming, you're going to always interpret it in favor of those people, while those people are killing you and undermining everything you stand for and have been doing it for a long time. Laugh at you. Christian evangelists, every single one of them, all these televangelists. Have you ever seen the face of Kenneth Copeland reel? Joel Osteen. The name Osteen wasn't a clue. It's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy, this world we live in. This is an evil construct. There is no saving this world. I tell you guys all the time, we are immortal souls passing through a construct. We're not here to save the world. We are here to grow. And our connection to source is intuition, empathy, and imagination. And everything that is about to unfold from April 8th on forward throughout the year is absolute. You can be absolutely immune to it if you understand those fundamentals. Your connection to source is by way of intuition, imagination, and empathy, and that you can insulate yourself from the chaos around by simply willing the oversoul to offer you the very protection that you've been denying yourself because you thought you were guilty. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, as an evil construct, all the signs in the sky are a part of that evil apparatus as well. They reveal things as factual, things that are in the field. That's all they're doing. There's no morality imposed upon any of this phenomena. That is self-created. All we're doing is reading the field. This is what this video was about. I just read the field for you as much as I've been able to find in a very short period of time since this was brought to my attention. We're just reading the field. And you can't read the field if you're looking through a corrupt lens. You just can't do it. Yeah. You just can't do it. What influenced people to name those towns Salem and then Nineveh? It was by the design of the construct. Construct is run by the god of this world. The god of this world is the demiurge, Satan, artificial intelligence X. These are not coincidences. They are the signs of the wicked to deceive those who would willingly believe that the immortal oversoul would reduce to tricks of astronomy and astrology as if we really needed a sign. The true spiritual individual needs no signs. We can read them, but we don't need them. Never have. Don't even search for them. Only the wicked seek after a sign. That's what Jesus said. Only the wicked. And this is what Christianity has become by having been infiltrated by enemies. The true spiritual being inside the construct is connected to source and receives their signs as intuition, empathy, and imagination. Not these demons masquerading as men like Kenneth Copeland, Joel Osteen. Yeah. In the Bible, those who call themselves the children of God. Yeah, no, it's not. And remember, guys, even if there is an earthquake this year, didn't Jesus say there will be earthquakes in divers places, but the end is not yet? He said that. Book of Luke or Book of Matthew, one of them, take your pick. He did say that. So my take is that in the field, the eclipse, the phenomena of the eclipse is 100% attached to the jab. And I don't know why. But there it is. It's all in the field. It all is. Maybe right after that, all these people start getting exposed. There's all kinds some type of justice going on. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe these people who took it undergo some type of metamorphosis. I don't know. Somebody did bring to my attention that it's very interesting that the Phoenix phenomenon date of May 18th is 40 days after April 8th. So they brought that to my attention. For those of you who don't know, the Phoenix phenomenon, every 138 years, the sun goes dark, the moon turns red, all kinds of edits happen to our reality. They're masked as natural disasters. And the information for this is in an entire playlist, published books, videos, everything's accessible if you want to see it. But May 18th, 2024 is 40 days. Remember, Jonah was told 40 days in the destruction. So is May 18th the date something big is going to go down? I don't know, but we do have a historical precedents in the United States, because on May 18th in the year 1980, Mount St. Helens detonated, a massive volcanic explosion right after an earthquake. The death toll was very, very low. And that's only because it's so isolated. But the destruction was massive. Topographical changes and all that was absolutely massive. It was huge. So I'm going to share my screen this last time, real quick. Present. So I will say this too. This subject is not, we're not done investigating this. This is just the beginning. I just got on all this. So I'm going to show this. Last image I'm going to show is the chart I drew the other night. You can't get around this. This is absolutely perfect. These eclipses, 3 different eclipses over America, are 3 days of darkness over America. This is exactly what it is. Here it is. And they pinpoint 12/14/20, which was the exact day that the jab was released to the public. And the eclipses form a cross directly over the Chesterfield, Missouri facility where the jab was manufactured and released. Can't make this shit up. Can't. I'm probably missing a lot. I didn't go through all my notes. I'm probably missing a lot, guys, but I don't have, they're not super organized because I just have so much data. I could probably do a second presentation on this, and go into more detail on different things. But we've seen it. We've seen how Jonah and Nineveh are connected here, and how Jerusalem and Assyria and the eclipse and the 1776 motive, everything here completely enmeshes with this date right here. This date right here is connected to all these concepts. April 8th, 2024. This is going to be a big date in the United States. Might be a big date for these people too. Where's it at? Right here. These people too. It's either a big date for these people, or it's a big date for the people that they affected. But it's all in the field. Hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. I got it out as fast as I could. But there it is. The two eclipses everybody's talking about are absolutely a part of an isometric projection, a perfect palindrome with December 14th in the middle. This is the one that helps decipher what the other two are about. There it is. Sorry if I seem a little melodramatic. As I'm researching all these things and putting all it together, it's just one brain gasm after another, seeing all the calendrics. So it's just sometimes it's too much. It's like, wow, this is almost overwhelming. But that's it, guys. I got it all out. Oh, I was hoping to get it out in 2 hours, but I didn't. I'm sorry. Over 4,000 people in the chat. That's great. Thank you. So I do have the second seal. This could be the beginning of the breaking of the second seal. There's no doubt whatsoever. But we do know that the second seal is designed to take peace from the earth. So it doesn't mean World War III. In the symbols used for the second seal were small arms, not great weapons and stuff, small arms. So we're looking for a whole series of events this year. But everybody in the chat, remember, you survived 2020. That was the breaking of the first seal. 2020 was the attack of Apollo Pharmakia, attack the human race. And here it is in 2024. We can see in the eclipses right here that the attack of Apollo Pharmakia is encoded right here in the eclipse pattern. So the first seal now bleeds into the second seal. We all survived the first. We're going to survive the second. Thank you, Stephen. I'll go back and read the chat after the video. Give me something to eat. I love you guys. I don't want this video going on any longer. I'll get back to my Archaix Academy. Man, I'm adding a couple classes to Archaix Academy that I didn't mention before. And one of them, I don't know why I didn't think about it, but one of them is a course on exactly how you research from multiple different perspectives to make sure your end product is satisfactory. So yeah, that's a whole nother course I'm designing too. I don't know why I didn't think about adding that to the syllabus before. Yeah, guys. No, no. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Dela. Tim Rollins, thank you, bro. Lola, Apocalypse, you've been around for a while. One Tux has been right here in the studio before. Matter of fact, the One Tux are the ones that made my tinfoil hat. It's up there on the top shelf. You need to come back to the United States and make me another tinfoil hat. All right, guys. Like I said, no presentation is conclusive, but this presentation should have gotten you a lot more closer to a more accurate understanding of this eclipse that everybody's waiting on. There's a lot to unpack in this video, and there's a lot. I've added a lot to the community about this other eclipse. This other eclipse helps us decode it all, guys. Remember, all of this is in the field for us to find. That's why we study history. We understand it's a construct. We understand it's all background programming. We understand this is an artificial reality and that we are in avatars, but we are immortal beings passing through an experience. But that experience is codified. It has all kinds of Easter eggs for us to find. You just have to divorce yourself from the programmed filters in order to process exactly what is being conveyed to you. That's the poison of the Judeo-Christian mindset. I love my Christian brothers and sisters. Yeah. It's only on YouTube that I even denigrate, the whole faith the way I do. In my everyday walk, I know a bunch of Christians. I was one of them. I still am in spirit, 100%. I just don't believe in that any of that historically unfolded. And I've already laid out all the reasons why I don't believe that here on my channel. But I'm just rambling now, guys. We've already yeah, we're we're going to go ahead and stop this presentation. Well, we got some great presentations on the way. I'll be releasing my next Chronicon video, and you have all new images from the Archaix library. A lot of these pictures have never seen the internet. But my next Chronicon video, which I'm about to release, Nick T finished reading it. It's 3 hours. I think it's the Middle Ages, and you got all new pictures to see that have never been on YouTube running through. So y'all can expect that. But I'm going to hit that. Some of you think it's famous. Some of you think it's awesome. Some of you get irritated. And I'm going to hit that awesome outro right now, guys.